It's me, Father Oates. I've come to you today with something I had someone make for me because I'm a narcissistic little piece of shit. Haha, sparkle. Now, of course, let me grab the link and throw it into the Discord so people can see that I am in fact doing it. Tis only fair he knows. Even though he's likely still gonna be asleep. But I suppose let's bring it right up. Let me get my window capture. Anyway, let's start reading. It's a stunning morning here in Volcadera. The sun just peeking over the horizon, casting a warm glow. Birds are harmonizing the trees, and flowers are opening as if they know it's going to be a beautiful day. Days like this make you think kids should be out, filling the playground with laughter and games. But as for me, guy with a bit of luck in the romance department, I'm gearing up for a fun, long-awaited date with my girlfriend, Stellar. You're probably curious who I am, right? Well, let's start this with a proper introduction. Yo! Nah. What's up? Ugh. Scratch it. Hi. I'm Holland G. Oates. But most folk call me Oates. I grew up in a little place called Ponsdale. A small fishing town tucked away from all the big city buzz. Life there was simple, just hard-working people, and not many dinos or even that many people around in general. When I wrapped up middle school, my parents had bigger plans for me and figured it was time I got out and explored the world. They packed me off to California, set me up in an apartment, and enrolled me in a huge high school called Volcano High. Stepping into the massive school was like jumping into another world. At first, I felt completely out of place, just another face in the crowd. Meshed spot with a human, but he usually acted like I wasn't there. So there I was, feeling like an outsider, without a single friend. That is until one day fate decided to step in. I was wandering the school's garden, lost in thought when I tripped. Yep, that's a classic me move. And that's when I met Stella. She seemed a little shy at first, but with time I got to know her well, and soon we were close friends. Her best friend Rosa joined our circle too. Became a solid trio. Over time, Stella and I grew closer. She was going through some tough stuff, an awful breakup with her ex. Not to mention struggles within her family, but we helped each other through it. After a few deep heart-to-heart conversations, it was clear there was something special between us. And, well, one thing led to another. Became a couple. Now here we are, years later, ready to enjoy another amazing day together. And from that day on, I knew I had to be the best boyfriend to Stella. I mean, I even took her on a date to Comic-Con. She got to meet her favorite actors and actresses. But honestly, the most memorable part of that trip for me was just her pure excitement. Watching her light up, those sapphire eyes sparkling, that huge smile, it was enough to keep me lost in the clouds. Anyway, we had promised always be there for each other, and for the past few years we've kept it, but today's different. It's going to be our most unforgettable day, something beyond just watching anime or going out together. This will be a memory we'll both cherish long after we're old and gray. Today marks our anniversary, the day we officially got together, and Stella and I wanted to hear more about my days back in Ponsdale. So we're going fishing. We'll head to one of the biggest lakes near the bluffs and see what we can catch for our own little fish feast. But by the end of it, I'm planning on something much bigger. I'm gonna pop the question because I love her with every bit of this heart of mine that goofy guy, goofy guy like me can offer. The morning's like any other, except I can tell it's morning mainly because the sunlight's blasted straight into my face. I bolt upright, rub my eyes, half blinded, fully blind. When I hear a soft chuckle to my right, as my vision clears, I feel arms wrapping around my torso and a familiar snout nudging my shoulder. You doing okay, silly goose? Stella's voice whispers with a playful laugh. She nuzzles my cheek before slipping out of bed. My vision finally returns, and I take inside of our room. It hits me. It's been almost a year since Stella and I moved in together, and honestly, it's been amazing. We both landed good jobs to cover rent, and we're doing it all together. Wait, did I just quote High School Musical? God, I really am hopeless. Oates? Stella's voice pulls me back to reality. I turn to see her wrapped in towels, hair damp, fresh from the shower. She's holding a spare towel, flashing me a sweet smile of hers. I left the water running for you and grabbed your towel. This girl always looking out for me. I chuckle, standing up and feeling a satisfying pop from a few stiff joints. With a grateful nod, I catch the towel. She tosses me my way. Thank her and make a quick dash to the bathroom, letting the warm water elect my arms and legs. Savor the moment, but knowing I've got a big day ahead, I get cleaned up and dry off quickly. Stepping out with the towel around my waist, I head for the living room, where Stella's already in the kitchen cooking up something delicious. Living with her has been an learning experience for both of us, but moments like this feel perfectly natural now. Comfortable. Easy. I'm here to make the day perfect, not mess around. Throw on a set of clothes, polo shirt over a tank, my trusted jeans, and a well-worn pair of sneakers. I finish it all off with my glasses and head over to the kitchen, where Stella has breakfast waiting. Strawberry toast with a side of blueberries. When she spots me, she sets a plate down on the counter. Hey, love, she says with a warm smile I can't get enough of. I grin and slide onto a stool. Hey, babe. Her green scales shift to a faint shade of red. She chuckles a little bit and looks almost exactly the way she did back in high school. Memories of those early days come flooding back, and I just can't help but laugh softly. She catches my expression, raising a brow as if to ask, what's so funny? Oh, nothing, I say. Just think about when we first met. She grins. I remember you covered in blue paint. She snickers, and I snort, crossing my arms. Well, don't blame me for that. Leo's the one who accidentally dropped the bucket right on top of me, I say, rolling my eyes. She just shakes her head. You're never going to let that go, are you? Nope, not until he owns up to it. She laughs again and adds another piece of toast to my plate, turning back with a proud look as she hands me my breakfast. We settle in, enjoying the simple feast. Without a hint of awkwardness, it's just me, sitting there with the love of my life, sharing a peaceful morning. Suddenly I feel something cold against my nose. I blink and look over to see Stella grin, a dab of jelly on her finger from where she booped me. I raised her brow, giving her a half-lit look before wiping it away and lifting it away. Before wiping it off and lifting it away. Both of us laugh, relaxed and happy as ever. After breakfast, I quickly tackle the dishes. With that out of the way, we settle onto the couch, holding each other in a quiet, cozy moment. Stella reaches up gently, caressing my cheek, and I guide my gaze down towards her. So what time are we heading out? She asks. Oh, we're at the date. I glance over the clock on our small kitchen, adjusting my glasses for a clearer look. Rose and Reach will be here soon to pick us up. We might see Sage too, once everyone's here. Yeah, we'll head out down the lake, I explain. Stella nods softly, resting her head against me again. I look up at the ceiling, lost in thought for a moment, and glance back down. Want to watch something pass the time? Yeah. Our usual? Mm-hmm. About an hour later, the sound of knocking pulls both Stella and me out of our cozy embrace on the couch. We jump up, excited, and hurry to the door. Opening it, we're greeted by two familiar faces, both glowing with excitement. Rosa, the bubbly orange Ankylosaurus, and Reed, the easygoing pink raptor. Rose is the first to rush in, wrapping in me in one of her signature bone-crushing hugs, and bouncing around as she repeats my name. Oh, it is so good to see you again, Oates. Rose exclaims, her hug so tight I can barely breathe. Seeing my struggle, Reed pats her on the shoulder gently. Hey, Rosa, I think you've got a little bit too tight to there, he says, laughing softly. At this, she releases me, quickly patting me down as if checking for bruises. I take a deep breath, managing a slightly breathless but genuine smile. It's all good. Standing upright, I give Rosa a thumbs up before turning to Reed, who greets me with his iconic lazy grin and raised hand for a usual high five. Yo ho, it's my dude, it's been a while, Reed says, grinning wider. I smirk, meeting his hand with a resounding high five before he pulls me in for a quick bro hug. We look over and see Rosa and Stella already hugging. Clearly thrilled by the reunion and seeing them together. So with all of us here again, after 2 months apart, fills me with an even stronger sense of purpose. Rosa and Reed are here for something truly special. I'm grateful we could come and share the day. It is so good seeing both of you again, Rosa says, wrapping an arm around Reed's shoulder as she leans against him. Stella's face lights up, with her eyes gleam with excitement. Couldn't agree more. And I can't wait to finally see the lake. I've always wanted to explore outside the city, she says, turned to me with a playful smile. Wrapping her arms around me, she nuzzles her snout against my neck. Can't wait to see the master fisherman at work, she teases and plants a quick kiss on my cheek, sparkling a warm blush across my face. I chuckle. Caught up in her energy, I wrap my arms around her, spinning her gently in a circle and drawing a soft giggle from her. Yo, lovebirds, Reed calls out, smirking. You two ready to get going, or are you just going to keep spinning around like an old married couple? His comment snaps us out for a moment, and we both glance away, slightly embarrassed as Rose and Reed laugh. Heading down the hallway, leaving the door open for us. Still chuckling, I gesture grandly to the door, bowing playfully. After you, my love, I say, holding the door open for Stella like a gentleman. She snores but can't hide her smile. Reaching out to tug my cheek with a playful pinch before stepping out. Just as she leaves, a thought jolts through me. The ring! Dashing back to the bedroom, I pull open my nightstand drawer, relief flooding through me as I see a small box exactly where I left it. Carefully, I open it, gazing at the golden ring inside it, with tiny green stones framing a stunning blue jewel at its center. This ring took so many paychecks to buy, and today it's finally going to be worth every single one. Come on, silly goose! Stella's voice calls down the hall, full of excitement. Snapping the box shut, I slide it securely into my pocket and bolt out the door, my heart racing, ready for that day that could change our lives. The drive to the lake was surprisingly relaxing, the car filled with the sounds of laughter and chatter. Stella and Rosa were deep in conversation, catching up on everything that had happened since we last met. While Rosa and I focused on navigating the road, I couldn't help but feel a little surprised when Reed mentioned that he'd renewed his driver's license recently. It was one of the many ways he changed since high school. Back then he struggled with addiction, using drugs as a crutch to cope with his problems, but after he and Rosa started dating, she helped him confront those issues, and now here he was. An easy-going dude who really touched stuff, still playfully claiming to be the richest rapper in the world. So bro, Reed began in his usual casual tone. He shifted in his seat. What have you been up to lately, dude? I leaned back in my seat and let out a soft sigh. Not too much, amigo. I've just been working on a few things with Stella, but nothing too serious or too casual, I replied. He nodded slowly as he pushed some of the hair out of his face. A curious look crossed his features, one I never expected to see. What's the story about you being a master fisher? He asked. I straightened it up a bit, realizing I was about to share something personal. Glancing back at Stella, I saw her completely relaxed, absorbed in cheesy old anime alongside Rosa, who was giggling at some over-the-top scene. Turned back to Reed, slouching a little as I prepared to dive into my past. It's not really about fishing, to be honest, I whispered, and I could see his brow furrow as he tried to process my words. Back when my dad was dating my mom, they had a small fishing business in my hometown. One day, my father proposed to my mom with a huge stack of fish behind him. Some random onlooker called my parents master fishers, and the name just stuck, helping their business gain popularity, I suppose. I explained, nostalgia washing over me. It felt odd to share this part of my life, especially since I had kept it hid for so long. I never really talked about my family, probably just because I was sent away to another school out of state, far from everything I knew. Reed glanced back at me and then the road. I'm processing what I just said. That's dope, man, he finally replied, his tone genuine. Then as the pieces started clicking in his mouth, he snapped his claws together with excitement. Oh, so you... Oh! Ooh! I couldn't help but laugh, my nervousness easing it a bit. It felt good to share something meaningful. Reed punched my shoulder playfully, and we both erupted in laughter, drawing the attention of both Stella and Rosa. They turned around momentarily, pulled from their anime-induced stupor, curious about what was going on. What are you two laughing, chicos? What's got you two laughing, chicos? Rosa asked, a playful curiosity lacing her voice. Reed, ever the jokester, wiggled his tail from the back of the seat, allowing Rosa to grab it, to hold of it like a playful leash. Nothing much, babe, Reed replied, his lazy grin lighting up the car. Rosa sighed and theatrically at his nonchalance, while Stella leaned in closer, wrapping her arms around me with a sweet smile. What are you doing, love? She asked, her tone soft and inviting. Oh, nothing really, just some boring stuff. Talking about bait hooks and all that. I replied, and Stella beamed, holding me ever tighter. Her strength was impressive. I could feel her muscles pull me closer, almost overwhelming. Had I mentioned how tight I was already? Noticing my discomfort, Stella quickly let me go. Oh, sorry, Oates. Kinda got lost in the moment, she said, a hint of blush creeping under her cheeks. After catching my breath for a few seconds, I felt a little more comfortable to look back at her. Honestly, I thought she had more strength than I'd ever have. The thought of it just turns my legs to jelly. Oates, yo! Oates, yo? Reed snapped me back to reality. I blinked to realize I zoned out again. I quickly scanned my surroundings and noticed we had arrived. Lake Dinotopia. It was known as the state's largest lake, and the layout was said to resemble a dinosaur. A fit name for such a unique place. I could already sense that today I'd be creating memories, not just reliving the old ones. Once we parked, we all hopped out and took in the sights. The weather was perfect. Not too cold, not too hot, just the right day by the water. Wow. Both Stella and I exclaimed simultaneously, our eyes widening in awe at the breathtaking view. The lake sparkled in the sunlight, with people swimming, fishing, lounging on picnic tables in the distance. It was the most beautiful sight I'd ever seen. As we walked over to Rosa and Reed, who'd already begun to follow the trail to the front gate, I felt excitement bubbling inside me. A ranger, a raptor with a wary yet steady demeanor, greeted us as we approached. How many? He asked, eyeing our group. Rosa set down a box full of bait and smiled brightly. That would be just 4, sir. The ranger mumbled something under his breath before pulling out some folded maps of the area and handed them to her. It has a map of the whole lake, but if you're seeking fishing spots, you'll need your licenses on you, he said, pointing directly at Reed. Rosa handed the maps to Reed, and we all complied, feeling the excitement rise as we received our plans for the day. Thanks, sir, Stella said as we walked by, and the ranger nodded, tipping his hat at us before focusing on the next group of visitors. As we walked along the trail, the view of the lake was mesmerizing. The sun reflecting off the water made nature look more beautiful than the city I was used to. It reminded me so much of Palmsdale. To my right, Stella held my hand as we walked, while Rose and Reed were up front, animatedly pointing out various flowers and plants. Stella and I strolled slowly, enjoying the serenity of the trail. A few bugs flitted by, and I had to swat a couple off, but we continued on, soaking in the beauty around us. The air was fresh. Sounds of laughter and splashing water filled the atmosphere, creating a sense of joy and adventure. This is nice, Stella said, her eyes sparkling with the reflected beauty of the landscape. I couldn't help but agree, completely captivated as the wind playfully tousled her hair, revealing that radiant smile on her snout. She was breathtaking, and the thought began to swirl in my mind. Should I ask her here? Felt like a perfect moment, wrapped in the warmth of nature and each other's presence. Hey guys, we're gonna stop here for a moment. I need to freshen up, Reed announced, breaking out of my reverie. I turned and we had reached a small picnic area, a tranquil spot nestled amid the trees, not far off. Rosa headed to a small stall for a quick break. I must have been lost in the thought longer than I realized. Damn it! Just then Stella nuzzled me gently before slipping into another stall, leaving me alone at the bench. The space feeling suddenly empty without her warmth beside me. Shit. Missed my chance. I muttered under my breath, feeling a twinge of disappointment. I leaned back and looked up at the sky, taking a moment to collect my thoughts, and we let time drift by as I waited for the return. Are you doing good, amigo? A new voice. Oh, hold on, I should actually make this Ashford Pelton. Are you doing good, amigo? A new voice broke through my thoughts, drawing my attention. I turned to see a human stand next to me, his spiky black hair catching the sunlight. He looked to be around my age, a small beard framing a friendly grin, clad in dark red hoodie, red pants, and matching shoes. He was clearly a fan of bold colors. Are you good, dude? He asked again, his tone casual and inviting, snapping back to reality. Yes, I'm good. Sorry, I just got kind of lost in my thoughts. I replied, offering a sheepish smile. He nodded, then settled onto the bench beside me, leaning back with an easy laugh that seemed to fill the space out. I didn't mean to intrude. I just noticed you and your girlfriend, I'm guessing, he said, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. I nodded in response, but a sudden thought flashed through my mind. I turned to him. Who are you? I asked, my tone a bit more defensive than I intended. Sorry. Where's my manners? Name's Red. What about you? He replied, his smile widening. Holland, but people call me Oates. I introduced myself, extending a hand. Red took it in a firm handshake. I felt a wave of warmth from the brief contact. After we released our grip, I glanced back at the stalls, still waiting for Stella. Turned my attention back to Red, who was now gazing at something with a soft smile. Following his gaze, I spotted a green baryonyx in a wheelchair chatting with a larger baryonyx nearby. Is that your girlfriend? I asked curious. Yeah, she is. We've been together about a month now, and I've never been happier, he said, his expression glowing as he watched them embrace. He shared a little about their relationship, recounting how they've met and their struggles they faced along the way, which echoed some of my own experiences. Well, as long as you're both happy, then you're golden, I said, shrugging. He nodded in agreement, but there was a comfortable silence as both took a scene before us. Just then, the baryonyx called out to Reed, who stood up, stretching his legs. He offered me a fist bump. Well, it's been cool, amigo. Thanks for the chat. I returned the gesture, grinning widely. Whatever you say, man. Good luck. With a nod, he jogged over to the green baryonyx. Just as he approached her, she tackled him to the ground with a joyous hug. Their laughter ringing out as the taller baryonyx looked on with a warm smile. Moments later, Stella and Rosie emerged from the stalls, both sporting bits of fishing gear that added charm to the outing. Rosa had a bucket hat perched jauntily on her head, while Stella wore a vest decorated with various anime badges that caught the eye. She approached me with a radiant smile, her enthusiasm infectious. While Reed emerged from the mid-stall with a tired but amused expression, holding a pair of mangled boots. Did you have a chance to talk to anyone? Stella asked, her curiosity evident. Yeah, I just met a guy named Red, I said, nodding towards where he was now chatting animatedly with his girlfriend. Nice, I love meeting new people. Stella exclaimed, her excitement lighting up her features, but before standing tall before me. Well, how do I look? Stella asked, twirling playfully to show off her fishing vest. I couldn't help but smile as I stood up, taking a moment to admire her gear. My eyes landed on one of my favorite anime symbols, stitched into the fabric, sparking a sense of pride and affection. It suits you in every way, babe, I said, wrapping her in a gentle hug. She sighed softly, nuzzling my neck, her warmth enveloping me. Hey bros, I'll have to catch up in a moment. Kinda got no shoes to wear. Reed chimed in, rubbing the back of his neck as he glanced down at his torn boot. Rosa shook her head and draped an arm around the lazy raptor's neck. We'll catch up in a moment. Luckily I brought extra pairs in the van, she replied, throwing me a knowing look before tugging Reed down the trail. We waved them off. My mind began to formulate a plan. Gazing around the lake, I noticed an empty dock not far from where we stood. It was a perfect spot, secluded and serene. Taking Stella by the hand, I managed to move forward, fishing pole in hand. She yelped in surprise at my sudden movement, but quickly gathered herself and started following along. Let's go ahead and get started without them. I encouraged Stella and nodded, her excitement palpable as we made our way to the dock. Once there, I took a moment to appreciate the scenery. The sun cast shimmering reflections across the water, creating a magical glow. After setting up the last of the gear, I inhaled the fresh air deeply before turning to Stella, who was struggling with her fishing pole. Being the good boyfriend I am, I stepped in to help, meticulously setting her line with a hook, sinker, and bait. Wow, I guess you know how to set a fishing pole really fast, she said, her eyes wide with excitement. I grinned with pride, puffing up a little as I waved the pole around. I am the son of a master fisherman, I proclaimed, handing her the rod with a flourish. Have you never gone fishing before? I asked, my curiosity piqued. Stella wrapped her tail around her leg, her smile fading to a sad expression. Not in a long time. Not since my mom passed away, she replied, her voice soft as she looked up towards me, a frown tugging on her lips as tears starting to spill from her eyes. Without hesitation, I set the pole down and pulled her into a warm embrace. I knew she hadn't talked much about her mother, only mentioned that they hadn't had enough time together. The loss weighed heavily on her. It became clear why this trip was so important to her. Mr. Morgan, her father, only shared that her mother had suffered from an untreated disease that took her life until she was just 8 years old. That traumatic experience had affected her, making her less socially active over the years. But I had seen change since we met. A blossoming of confidence and joy that I hoped would continue. I'm sorry, Stella, I murmured, holding her tightly as she leaned on me. If you ever want to talk about her, I'm here. I'm fine. Just never thought I'd be doing this again. She stiffened, a grin breaking through her sadness. I could feel the warmth of her smile even as she hugged me back tightly. Just then I caught sight of Reed and Rosa in the distance, cameras in hand, all set up and ready to capture the moment. I gave them a quick signal to wait a bit before slowly breaking the hug. Turning to Stella, I offered her a warm smile. Well, let's do it again. For you, I said, my voice light. Her smile widened before I knew it, she leaned in and kissed me. Warm and passionate, I returned the kiss, holding her close for a moment before we pushed away. Both of us grinned bashfully. With playful flourish, I'd got on one knee and reached for her fishing pole. Sorry, Reed and Rosa, but this had to come first. Instead of setting up my own pole, I focused on helping Stella. I showed her how to hold it properly and reminded her to have patience. Soon enough, she was casting her line on the lake, humming a few anime theme songs as she settled in. I joined in, our voices intertwining in a lighthearted duet as we waited for a bite. Just as we reached one of our favorite songs, I felt a tug on that line. Stella, you got one. I cheered, watching her spring into action, reeling it in with all her dino strength. Her determination was palpable, and I shouted encouragement as she fought to bring the fish in. Finally, with a triumphant yank, she landed it. We cheered and hugged tightly, reveling in our victory. Your turn, she said, handing me her pole with an excited grin. I took a moment to position myself properly, casting my line out with a flourish and showcasing my professional side. I caught a fish on my first try, but Stella nearly hooked another. We took turns, enjoying the camaraderie of our fishing adventure until a small platoon of geese paddled by, capturing our attention. It's funny how my name, Holland Goose Oats, seemed to be perfectly suited for the occasion. As the cute little guys swam by, I felt the urge to honk back at him, and I couldn't resist. All that series of honk, eliciting giggles from Stella, who declared, "Oh, you're such a silly goose." I set my rod down as the geese approached us. I reached out to pet one, but then I remembered they were just wild animals. Just then I noticed one wearing a top hat, another sporting an eye patch, and one more with a scouter. I snapped back to reality when I felt a pinch on my finger. A tiny gosling was nipping at my index finger. Stella was in a fit of laughter as I tried to pry the little bird off. Once it released a skip, the whole gaggle of geese swam away, honking what felt like laughter at my expense. Betrayed by my own people, I pouted. Crossed my arms dramatically. Just then I felt Stella lean against my shoulder, her laughter ringing in my ear. She hummed lightly before raising a finger and booped my nose. "Silly goose," she teased, giggling again. Seizing the opportunity for some playful revenge, I raised my finger and booped her snout, listening to a squeak from her. Her cheeks flushed a lovely shade of pink as she crossed her arms with mock indignation. Okay, you got me," she said, trying to suppress her smile. I snickered lightly and brushed my hand through Stella's hair, earning a soft sigh from her. She tried to pout again, but the moment I ran my fingers through her hair once more, she surrendered, leaning into my touch and letting out a low murmur of contentment. "I love you," she said, and my heart raced like a drum, pounding in my chest as she inched closer to me. And we've been out in the lake for a good while now, the sun still high above us, casting a warm glow over everything. A light breeze danced around us, and it felt like we had this beautiful spot all to ourselves. No one passing by to interrupt our peaceful fishing trip. The number of fish we caught was impressive. Enough for everyone. Well, minus the fact that Stella and Rose's were herbies, but still, we'd done well. This has been fun. I kind of wish Rose and Reed were here right now. I nodded, casting a side glance at the pair. They were still nearby, camera in hand, grinning at us. Showing a thumbs up, silently telling them that we were good. Okay, Holland. This is it. I stood up from the edge of the dock, stretching my legs, and looking back down at Stella. She was there gazing at the end of the lake, a shadow of sadness crossing her features. I gently placed my arm around her shoulder. "Hey, are you doing well?" I asked, concern edging in my voice. "Fine, really. I still can't believe that I managed to get to do something like this again." She replied, my hand in hers. As I helped her up, she turned to me, her smile warm and genuine. "Thank you, Holland." She used my first name, and it meant so much coming from her. In that moment, everything felt right. The gentle rustle of leaves, the soft sounds of the lake, and warmth of her hand in mine. This was a moment I wanted to cherish forever. "Anytime, Stella. I'm always here for you," I replied, my voice steady. The connection between us felt deeper. I pulled her in for a quick side hug, feeling grateful for this day, this spot, and more importantly, her. "You want to know something?" I asked, gazing out into the shimmering lake. A warm grin spread across my face. Stella nestled against my chest, tilting her head to look up at me with those big, curious eyes. The sunlight danced on the water, casting a magical glow around us. My dad wasn't a master fisherman, but he was a good one. I began, stealing a glance down at her. She straightened, her interest piqued, as I continued. He actually met my mom at a lake not far from my hometown. They hated each other at first, competing fiercely for the same fish like sworn rivals. But in the end, they found their way into each other. How? Stella asked, her curiosity sparkling. I chuckled softly, casting my eyes back on the lake as the memories washed over me. They slowly learned more about each other, discovering shared dreams and goals, and then realized they worked better as a team than against each other. My dad always tells me that's when he proposed to my mom. I paused, letting the moment linger, feeling like the weight of what I was about to do. My hand drifted to my pocket, my fingers brushing against the smooth texture of the small box, my heart racing with anticipation. What did he say? Stella prompted, leaning in, her eyes wide with eagerness. I locked my eyes on her, their brightness reflecting in the sun, and felt my heart swell. Gently, I cupped her cheek, my voice softening. He said, everywhere I go on this planet, and I always want to travel somewhere new. When I see your eyes, I see a new journey to embark on. I released her gaze, taking a step back, my pulse quickening as I gathered my courage. Here we go. I dropped to one knee, opening the box to reveal the ring. Holding it up as I looked back at her. Stella's eyes widened, shimmering with a mix of surprise and joy. Stella, I see a journey ahead, and I don't want to travel it alone. Will you walk this path with me? My voice trembled slightly, emotions swirling inside of me like a whirlwind. She stared at me, speechless for a moment before her face broke into a radiant smile. Tears spilling down her cheeks as she nodded vigorously. In the background, I could hear Rose and Reed cheering, but my focus remained solely on Stella, my heart soaring with happiness. I held the box steady, revealing that the ring glimmered like a promise of our future. Stella Morgan, will you marry me? I asked, pouring every ounce of love and hope I had into those words. Yes, yes, yes! She exclaimed, her voice ringing with joy as she wrapped her arms around me tightly. In her excitement, she lifted me off the ground, spinning me around in sheer bliss. I adjusted myself, holding the ring with reverence, and with trembling hands I took her left hand and gently slipped the ring around her finger. Perfect match that sparkled beautifully against her scales. Tears of joy trailed down her face, but her smile lit up the entire dock. Stella gazed at her hand in awe before turning her radiant eyes back on me. Filled with pure delight, I beamed at her, pulling her in a warm embrace that felt like home. She cut my cheek, and I mirrored her gesture. Our hearts beat in unison. This moment was unlike any other we ever shared. Slowly, we leaned in, our faces drawn closer, until we met for a tender kiss. And then they fought! Reed, the top hat man, barged into the room, interrupting Oates mid-sentence as he read his story. Ah! Reed! What the hell are you doing in here? Oates exclaimed, flapping his wings in frustration. Ignoring Oates, Reed rushed over to the microphone, clearing his throat with an exaggerated drama. They both kissed and had babies! The end! He declared, bursting into laughter as Oates fumbled to get him out of the recording booth. How the hell did the others let you in anyway? Oates demanded, exasperated. Reed rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Oh, they let me in. Plus, I heard you had a story with you in it, so I thought I'd want to be in it too, he replied, grinning from ear to ear, the fetid goose face palms flapping his wings in irritation. That's it! Get out! Never. Ooh, I got it! Oh, hey, author, make more. Wait, is that Flippo? Reed exclaimed, darting towards the corner of the room, clearly mistaking the imaginary wall for an audience. Poor Reed seemed to forget that this was a book, not a stage. While Oates continued to flap his wings and argue with Reed, they bicker and spiraled into chaos, making it impossible for the author to maintain any semblance of coherence in the story. It was all becoming too much. The distractions were raising suspicion about the character's awareness of the narrative. Yeah, we're done here. Flip stared intently at his monitor for a solid hour, his fingers frozen above the keyboard as he tried to make sense of the chaotic jumble of words and ideas on his screen. He had started with a clear vision, but somewhere along the line, the narrative had spiraled into a whirlwind of absurdity that left him both bewildered and amused. Each sentence seemed to lead him further down the rabbit hole he hadn't anticipated, and the characters had taken a life of their own, weaving a tale that was both ridiculous and strangely captivating. After what felt like an eternity, he slouched in his chair, a mix of disbelief, washing over him. He rubbed his temples, trying to get a massage that the tension away. It took a moment to reflect on what he just created. What the hell did I just make? He muttered under his breath, shaking his head in disbelief. In an attempt to process the surreal plot twists and bizarre character interactions, he pulled out a bottle of his favorite drink and took a generous swig. The liquid slid down his throat, offering a brief moment of comfort amidst the chaos. Flip could almost hear the echoes of his characters bickering in his mind, each vying for attention as their antics were played like a comedic reel. The thought of Reed, the top hat wearing goose, bursting in with his outrageous proclamations that made him chuckle despite himself. Seriously, how did I let this happen? Flip asked the empty room, the voice tinged with both amusement and exasperation. He leaned back further in his chair, allowing the weight of the absurdity to settle in. As he gazed back at his screen, he couldn't help but admire the sheer audacity of what he had written. It was a wild tapestry of humor, chaos, unexpected connections that defied logic, yet somehow felt oddly fitting with the universe he had constructed. The more he thought about it, the more he realized that this story, with all its quirks and eccentricities, might just be the breath of fresh air he needed. Flip's mind raced with possibilities for where he could take the narrative next. Could he weave in more characters? What if the plot took an even stranger turn? The idea excited him, pulling him back to the keyboard as he contemplated the limitless directions the story could take. With renewed energy, he began typing again, the absurdity of the last hour fueling his creativity. Perhaps this is exactly what his writing needed. An embrace of the chaos, a celebration of the unexpected. And after all, who wouldn't love a good laugh, huh? As the words flowed, Flippo couldn't shake the feeling that his bizarre adventure might just resonate with his audience in a way he never anticipated. It was a strange world he was crafting, but one that felt uniquely his. And he was ready to dive head first in the madness once more. Ah, shit, I just deleted the whole thing. Anyway, I hope the reading has been everything you wanted, Flippo, because the actual story is everything I ever desired in life. I appreciate that. I hope it was everything you ever wanted. But for tonight, I'm going to have to tell you goodbye.